Yeah, well, unfortunately, there was a piece of bad news that came out from 49ers camp, which is...
Where are you going?
This is from Adam Schefter of ESPN. 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall is dealing with knee swelling related to the PCL injury he suffered last year. And the team says, quote, all options are being explored, and there is some, quote, concern.
Evan, you just read it. If I could take my shirt off and run around this table, I would.
Don't.
In concern.
Come on, dude.
Evan, this is the knee he just had repaired. Swelling is never good. And then you mentioned the C word, concern. And again, you just started practice camp a day ago, too.
Ricky Pearsall is 25 years old, 26 years old. And he is more injury prone than the 33-year-old wide receiver that they just brought in, who only played, I believe, 8 games last year. Ricky Pearsall, this is a big season for him because it's not a question of what Ricky Pearsall can do on the field.
Not at all.
And I'm not saying he's Jackson Smith and Jigba, but he's a quality receiver.
We've seen it.
But he cannot stay on the field. And I understand he had some awful luck before his rookie season. He got shot. But there's been soft tissue injuries. There's been nagging stuff. The PCL last season. And if this is related to that, that's a big deal because he's expected to be a huge part of the Niners season.
No doubt about it. Like, I listen, I'm not coming in here to be a worrywart, but I cannot believe that of all the people you wanted on that list, he is your young prized possession. And I'll say this, I can't remember a Niner receiver making stellar or just an incredible athletic play, down 40, 35 yards down the field, and then you got to worry about him getting up. Like, we seen that. And again, I'm going to slow down in regard to the concern, but I know, he was on the mend, and I just find it like guys like that, the season was cut short. I just feel like they're the first one at camp to show, I've had time. My body's been in the lab. Let's go. And now we get this report, and I want to add this. You don't laugh at me, but my saying is tomorrow's not promised, and that's for sports too. Evan, I could give you a list of athletes it wasn't about the game. They had it, but their kryptonite was staying healthy. And right now, I don't know how anybody can look at Ricky Pearsall and not be concerned that he could be one of those guys.
Well, I got some good news for you. This is why you drafted De'Jon Stribling.
Well, man.
This is why you spent that second-round pick, and I know that they traded back and then traded back again, and people were worried about, was Stribling taken too high, and did they overdraft? This is why you took him. And from all reports, looks like Stribling's had a good first couple of days in training camp.
I saw a nice catch yesterday. Now, the other receiver, was it Kirk that they brought in?
Well, he's hurt.
Yeah, I was like, I'm listening to Willard and Diaz yesterday, like, Evan, but it's early, right? You're hurt early, nothing to see here, hopefully.
Yeah, to me, of all
but hammy?
Well, I mean, a hamstring, soft tissue stuff, that's stuff that you can hopefully get over. You got a lot of time between now and the beginning of preseason and then into the actual season. But this is a problem because this is something related to an injury from last year that you went and got cleaned up, and it's already flaring up a couple of days into training camp. Ricky Pearsall has been unable to shake the moniker of injury prone since the moment he stepped into the league.
And I'll never forget his ball coach.
It's not his fault.
At Arizona
for all
State.
Of it.
To join the afternoon show, he did that point.
Herm Edwards.
Remember, you played to win the game when he said you got to save the player from himself. This was early on, and now I'm starting to feel like now I know what coach was putting down. Like this, this is a story that obviously the Niners are and all the Niner fans. Like, I'm fixated on he's got to be, hopefully this is nothing, and he'll be there week 1 Thursday against the Rams.
Well, hopefully he'll be, but do we know he's going to be 100%? And this is the question that I ask every time he steps on the football field. Are you going to finish the game? Because it's not just about being out there on the first snap. You got to finish the game.
That's a great call.
When Ricky Pearsall, he was out last year for a lot of the season, came back, got re-injured mid-game. And so until further notice, Ricky Pearsall is brittle. And that's the the thing about it, I don't want to go there.
Right, because it's early.
But until he proves that he's a different player physically, not in terms of his ability. We know that he's a pretty damn good wide receiver when he's on the field. But you can't. To me, going into this season, the Niners' biggest concern is that they have, similar to the Warriors, a lot of aging stars. They have talented guys who have been there, who have Hall of Fame resumes, and the question is, how much more do they have left in the tank? My issue with Pearsall is we're not going to get to see how much he has in the tank because he cannot stay on the football field.
No, you said it. I don't disagree, and I'll put another rat on the table brought to you by Atco Pest Control. Evan, do you think that's why they were so concerned about this Pearsall's health that Stribling was drafted?
Well, I think also they were going to need a guy to replace Brandon Ayuk.
You brought in Evans and Kirk, as I'd mentioned, but I'm just starting to wonder now when Stribling's like how concerned behind closed doors. They're hoping like hell. And you had mentioned the Warrior angle, and you're right, but this is your young stud receiver, and you want him to be healthy so you could say you got it right and get the dividends and return on the football field. But, Evan, I've had many Cadillacs in the shop, and you like to drive them. And when you get them out the shop, you want to go far, and hopefully that check engine light doesn't come on. But, man, when you start the car and that check engine light is on, that's how I feel like Ricky Pearsall's camp has started. We're early into it, and they're swelling.
All right, here's what we got going on today. By the way, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and 821 San Francisco, an Odyssey Sports Station, always live on the free Odyssey app and now broadcasting from the Laughing Monk Studios. Evan Giddings in for Matt Steinmetz alongside Gerald the Guru Johnson. The Valkyries are back in action tonight after the All-Star break, taking on the Mercury in Phoenix at 7 o'clock. You can listen to it right here on 95.7 The Game and on the free Odyssey app. Just search Valkyries for all the action, all brought to you by Unstoppables as the official laundry fragrance partner of the WNBA. Unstoppables brings the freshness. You can feel confident, stay in the moment, and smell unstoppable. Try Unstoppables laundry scent boosters for as low as $5. Again, we're talking about the report from Adam Schefter that there is concern, quote, concern about Ricky Pearsall's knee that he re-aggravated, essentially. The same knee that he hurt, a PCL injury that kept him out last season. And to me, this is Ricky Pearsall's biggest problem. And
why, though?
Why? Because his body can't do what he needs it to do. And this has been a couple years now. This is not just him coming into training camp with a nagging hamstring injury. He obviously got shot. That kept him out for games. But it's not just been the bad luck. You have to account for injuries in football. They happen. They're random. That's fair. But not being able to even be on the field, that's a problem. If you're not available for your team, then I can't count on you. And Ricky Pearsall, for the better part of his early career, has not been a dependable wide receiver. That's why they got Stribling. That's probably why they went out and signed Mike Evans. And they were hoping, by the way, to pair those guys with Ricky Pearsall.
No doubt about it.
As either their number one or number two. But a PCL injury and this nagging sort of thing, like until further notice, Ricky Pearsall's an injury-prone player.
Man, Evan, it's a big concern for me. And, again, I'm trying not to overreact, but I don't know how you do that. And you could just let it play out. And like I said, the preseason hasn't started. But, man, oh, man, what I don't like is the timing. You've had all offseason to men. You're not getting tackled or whatnot, and you come out early, and now they're swelling, which is never good. So we'll see how it plays out. But for Schefter to use that word that you just mentioned, concern, I mean, I understand it, and you're right. He has never been able to answer the bell since his inception.
He was also a guy that, look, the Niners took higher than some people felt like he was supposed to go.
But he proved to me he had skills. Like, remember, I was like, who? He can ball. I've seen it.
He's had a couple big games, but not enough. He's played in 20 games in the last 2 years. That's 10 games.
Yeah.
I'm doing the math. There's 17 games in a season.
Yeah.
So he's been available for a little over half of the NFL games in his first 2 years in the league.
And you got that Seahawk defense twice, you know what I mean? And now the Rams.
And it's not because he wasn't good enough to get on the field.
He was a baller.
No, Ricky Pearsall is supposed to be able to help you. And, I'm looking at these picks that they've made towards the top. Okay, Mykel Williams, ACL tear. Can't do anything about that. That's unfortunate. Ricky Pearsall hasn't been able to stay on the field. Is De'Jon Stribling going to be different? I hope so, but this is the kind of pressure they've put on their picks in recent years because they've missed on guys. There's pressure for these dudes to hit.
Yes.
Like Stribling has to be an impact player his first season. Romello Height, who he was carted off with cramps, so I'm not going to say that he's down and out.
Gatorade.
But there's pressure on these guys, Goo, and it's because they don't have a lot of those guys that you would look at and say they're next up.
Let me do this, and you be real like you always are, right, partner? If you are so concerned behind closed doors that I've been hearing the rumble, the story's been rumbling out there. And I'm not going to mention Ayuk because I don't know what he's doing. What about Deebo? If this doesn't go well, if you're the Niners, do you revisit or think about, a reunion with one Deebo Samuel? 19 problems.
Well, the 650 is asking about that too, paging Deebo Samuel. I mean, I'll say this. If you're in a place where you have to go bring in Deebo Samuel,
Tell me what you think.
Could he help you? Sure, but why'd you get – I mean, you let him walk in the first place.
Right.
Because he wasn't worth this contract and you didn't want him anymore. Like, going backwards is not a place that the Niners need to be in my opinion. I think they have enough older stars on their team.
But is Pearsall injury reoccurrence going backwards? If it gets that serious to where he's just unavailable.
Well, if he's unavailable, that's a missed pick. I mean, that's just a bad pick. You look at some of the guys from that draft class, and could you have done better? You could at least have players that have been on the field for your team. And again, Ricky Pearsall, hopefully he'll be fine.
Yeah, right. You know what? All right.
And the 95 is correct. The skill isn't in question. I'm not saying that Ricky Pearsall is a first team type of performer.
We like what we saw.
But he's a good player.
Yeah.
He is a good player.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that Deebo Samuel's a guy that, he's not going to help you beat the Seahawks. He's not going to help you beat the Rams. He's going to be a replacement level player for a dude that can't stay on the field. But that's why this Ricky Pearsall injury is concerning to me, is because he's someone that, if healthy, can help you ideally get over a Seattle. He had, a $125 on 4 catches, that week 1 win up in Seattle.
Yep.
He had that big 40-plus yard reception on that final drive right before the touchdown pass that helped you win the game. Those are the types of game-changing plays that Ricky Pearsall can make when he's on the field. So is Deebo Samuel a placeholder? Perhaps. I don't see them going backwards, but could he help? Ricky Pearsall's the guy you need healthy.
Man, so the clock's ticking, and I know the Niners are concerned not only about their coach, who's coming back from injuries from his accident, but now you're talking about you want to be your hot shot receiver that you drafted high, and hopefully he beats this and he's back on the field soon. That's all I can say at this point. I couldn't believe you guys just read that.
888-957-9570 is the number. Let's go out to Fairfield and talk to Sean. Hey, Sean, how you doing, man? Good morning.
Hey, man, how you guys doing? Good morning. Good morning. I just wanted to touch on the Pearsall situation. It sucks. I seen that report this morning on my phone. I was like, damn, I'm really pulling for this guy to do good because, like you said, when he's out there on the field, he's a game changer, and it just sucks. But, I got the Kirk injury as well. And it's just like, I heard you guys talking about Deebo bringing him in. If you look into that, or maybe look into signing like a Stephon Diggs, I mean, they were 2 solid receivers for their teams last year. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that? I heard you talk about Deebo. It's like a step backwards. I mean, if you bring him in, he knows the system already. We know what he can do and bring. Like, signing him might help, or Stephon Diggs might help as well. What are your guys' takes on that?
Help me with Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I got to be careful. Is there baggage off the field, or is that just me looking at social media to where, Goo, him and Cardi B are done. It's all good. I don't know if you know what I mean? When I hear Diggs, I think of the other stuff.
Yeah, when I think of Diggs, I think of the opposite of Mike Evans.
Oh, man,
that's
great.
I think of someone who is a distraction.
And that's great, man.
And was he a good receiver for the Patriots last year? Yeah, but he's also a guy who needs the ball.
But they went to the Super Bowl and said night-night. You know what I mean? And I wonder how much of that night-night was stuff off the field.
Well, maybe it was off the field, but they also were able to get A.J. Brown, who's a significant upgrade to Stephon Diggs. And Look, okay, Deebo Samuel last year, his yards per reception down from the year before with the 49ers. Yards per game at about 45. His rushing has not been that impressive.
His quarterback went down, But I get what
his
you're
last
putting
year
down.
with San Francisco is at 3.2 yards per carry as a running back.
And we were like, whoa, that facet or commodity that Kyle had at his disposal, that's kind of ran its course. And maybe I looked at him in Washington. I'm with you. He didn't look bad, but he damn sure didn't blow anybody away. Like, maybe his era is over. Maybe he can't help.
No, he's going to be 30 years old, and he's already a guy that was, came into camp a little bit out of shape 2 years ago. It's like, to me, I would rather give an unproven commodity on your team an opportunity, whether it's Jordan Watkins or Jacob Cowing, Demarcus Robinson, is someone that was on the team last year. Can you figure something out there?
Big playoff game.
Hell, what was it last season? They went with our TikTok guy. Had a big game, Kendrick Bourne.
Oh, there you go.
Those are the kinds of players that could step in and actually give you some boost or just keep you level. To me, Deebo Samuel is not the upgrade that the Niners are looking for. And then the 650 brings up a good point. How was the 49ers running game with Deebo Samuel? To me, looking backwards, that's why the Niners are behind the Rams and the Seahawks, because they have too much from the past and they haven't been able to develop enough for the future.
Yeah.
Let's go down to San Bernardino and talk to Ryan. Wants to get into Deebo Samuel. Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Good morning. Always nice to talk to you. My brother, you always feeling great. It doesn't matter who you're filling in for. And Goo, I've never called in for the Goo man. I'm a big fan.
Oh, right on, man.
Right on, Ryan. Thanks, man.
Yeah, so about Deebo, I couldn't disagree more. I feel like if we were asking him to come in and be the Deebo of old, I think we'd be in big trouble. Just the same way if we were asking Dre Greenlaw to be the Dre Greenlaw of old, we'd be in big trouble. But I think that we have things in place that could kind of eliminate the need for Deebo. We just need to supplement with Deebo. I think Shanahan in his prime kind of relied too much on Deebo and the jet motions and the run after catch. But now the offense is better. Our play calling is much better than it is in Washington. I think with Stribling, and even though Pearsall has a swollen knee, I think Deebo is a tool that we could use to take some of the workload off of Pearsall and kind of use Deebo in many ways: running back, wide receiver, punt return here and there, kick return. And I think things like that to keep a defensive coordinator like Seattle's Mike McDonald, who's a genius on defense, off his, on his toes. And I just think the creativity that Deebo could lend to our offense without relying on him heavily would help us a lot. So I do think Deebo would be a valuable piece for us right now.
I got you, Ryan. Yeah, no, I think your opinion's valid. You're absolutely allowed to disagree. I think that people want Deebo Samuel to be the kind of player that he was and have not been seeing the kind of player that he is. I mean, when he was here in San Francisco 2 years ago, was anybody impressed with the way that Deebo Samuel helped the team?
No doubt. And I thought he wasn't breaking tackles like he once was, Evan. And I will say this to that caller's point, and we had brought it up and we talked about it, and you tell me if I'm lying, because I'm not. I thought, man, that window dressing that was Deebo Samuel, who had to be accounted for, I mean, how much stress came off of opposing defenses knowing that you didn't even have to worry about that. But his last year doing that, it was ineffective. He was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. Now, how much of that is it all Deebo's fault? But to his stats last year, and I ain't going to use unfair, Daniels went down, and they just had bums at the quarterback position. So I'm not going to call it a mulligan, but I'm wondering if this Pearsall thing is so bad, on top of the Ayuk debacle, do you take a flyer and look for a reunion?
You could. Look, and the reason why we're talking about this again is Ricky Pearsall, according to Adam Schefter, is dealing with a knee swelling issue related to the PCL injury he suffered last year. The 49ers are saying that all options are being explored, and there's some, quote, concern. Deebo Samuel is an unrestricted, unsigned free agent. He's been linked to the Niners. He's been linked to a team like the Bengals. Last season with Washington, he started 12 games, played in all 16. He was their leading receiver with 730 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he had a total of 800 scrimmage yards. Is Deebo Samuel a bad player? No, but I don't think he's going to take the 49ers to where they want to go.
I'm not mad at that.
To me, if there's someone out there that they should be looking into,
Vita Vea.
it's Vita Vea.
All right, I hear you.
I think it's interesting that people are transfixed on the offense and what's going to happen there and what they're going to do. The Niners have made their moves. And by the way, they put their hat in the ring of two older wide receivers, Mike Evans and Christian Kirk.
One of them dealing with a hammy already.
I don't want another one.
Okay. I get it. And Vita Vea, I think, would be tremendous for this defense. That's just me. I know he's older. I don't know what it would take. But I'll say this about Deebo. The fact that 31 other teams, it doesn't seem like camp's open and he's not on a team, Evan, or speaking, it speaks volumes of what they think about Deebo.
Well, and maybe it's because of his value.
3-4 years ago, that line's around the corner like you're waiting on new Jordan.
What he was making, forget what he was making last year, but it's not exactly a low number. Maybe that's why he doesn't have a team right now. Deebo Samuel's a guy that I think at this stage in his career, you have to scheme open. Yeah. And to Ryan's point, if Deebo is willing to come in and do some of the dirty work things that I don't believe were ever necessarily associated with his game, block. In his last season in San Francisco, there's a lot of people that pointed out the fact that when he wasn't getting the ball, he didn't run routes hard.
I remember.
He wasn't interested in just getting cardio. He was interested in getting the ball.
I remember the drop touchdown on the slant against the Rams Thursday night, but that's unfair, at home.
And he was complaining the week before about how he wasn't involved in the offense.
On Twitter and did it. Yep.
Is he in a different place in his career? I think so, but it doesn't mean his mindset's necessarily changed. So the Niners, they signed Christian Kirk. They signed Mike Evans. They didn't sign Deebo Samuel, but Ricky Pearsall right now is dealing with that PCL injury, a little nagging, and there is some concern according to the San Francisco 49ers.